Hello, how do you do? My name is Harry Wetzel. Thanks for coming. It's the 80s, darling. May 1986. I'm sitting in the front row of the balcony of the Beacon Theater on Broadway, around 74th or 75th Street or something like that. My friend Cornlad, my deviant friend Cornlad, is working as a roadie, a backstage roadie. He works for the great and the near great throughout his career. There's always many, many stories. He's worked with Don Carlos, Dog and Monkey Hotel. He worked with Neil Diamond. He worked with Fink's Mules. He worked with Lou Reed. And even worked with Swain's Rats and Cats. Right. So he's done the gamut. And this time he got tickets for me to sit in the front row of the balcony for Yoko Ono's one-woman show. And what a wonderful evening it was. It was just amazing. I love Yoko Ono. And I think if you love John Lennon, I think you should too. You don't have to love her music. I understand that. But what are you mad at her for? All she did was love him back. Anyhow. So I was sitting there in the front row, and it's a very simple setup. It's just a chair and a microphone, and a stool, a tall stool, and Yoko comes out, and the audience immediately rushes the stage, and they start giving her presents. They start giving her flowers and bouquets and presents and boxes and gifts and wrapped things. Somebody gave her a yellow helium balloon. Was the first present that she accepted, and she went up and tied it on the chair there, and then people were just giving her boxes and wrapped gifts and so many flowers, and eventually she's got this huge, semicircle around the stage there, just filled up with presents. It was just amazing, and it was a fantastic concert. She sang a bunch of traditional Japanese songs and some of her own songs and some of John's songs. And eventually there was a band. It started out, she came out alone, and she was telling the story of her life, and it was a lot of talking too about her story. It was beautiful. And the band members come out one at a time, after another story. They come out with the guitar, and then the next guy with the bass, and the next guy rolls out a keyboard, and eventually they roll out a big drum set and everything. So by the latter part of the concert, there's a 9-piece band. And each song that she sings, there's one more musician. It's just great. And the last number of the evening is this long jam session of Give Peace a Chance. And she starts singing it, and eventually the musicians are just jamming down with their instruments, but they eventually put the instruments down when it's just a round of all we are saying, and we're just saying everybody, and the whole auditorium and all the musicians, they're all just lined up downstage. They're stomping and clapping, and Yoko's down there center, and it's this huge love fest. It was just great. And that's how the concert ended. Oh, I didn't mention one of the things that was great about the concert. Yoko's got this flashlight, this camping flashlight, a great big one with a handle and a button on it, and she's shining it directly at the audience members, and she's waving to people and looking at one and one and one. She's looking up in the balcony too. She's waving. She's saying, "I love you." Oh, it was a love fest. Anyhow, the concert ends. I'm sitting there in the front row. Everybody files out, and I just sat and waited till everybody was gone, and the band was gone, and the roadies start to come out and clean everything up. And there's Cornlad down there. So I go, all right. And I leave the balcony. I come down the aisle, and he's on stage moving this, that, and the other thing. And I go up. He says, "Did you like it?" And I said, "Oh, it was cosmic. I'm all blissed out." He goes, "Ah," and he peeled the thing, and he put it on my lapel, and he said, "Go mingle." And I look, and it's a backstage pass. Oh, so I go over to, and he says, I'm busy. And poof, he was gone. He vanished. So I run over to downstage right or house left, and there's a group of about 40 people hanging around, milling about, trying to get backstage. And there's a door there, and a roustabout opens the door, and he looks, and he's instantly annoyed that there's so many people out there. He says, only 10 people are allowed backstage, and that's it. And all 40 of us held our breath as he started counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Harry Wetzel, 9 and 10. And I ran in, and he slammed the door. He said, the rest of you can all go home. And he slammed the door. So I'm backstage, and I hustle in there, and I almost bump into, but I don't bump into Andy Warhol. Oh, my, you're tall. And there he is, big in his life and in person. And it's sort of a small backstage. And people are milling around, and there's a lady in a wheelchair there, and there's a craft table. I go over to the craft table, and I say, what do we have here? And there's a pudgy little kid standing in front of the craft table, and there's hors d'oeuvres and snacks and broccoli and cheese, and there's a great big platter of chocolate cake, and this pudgy little kid is eating this chocolate cake, and I go, hey, what you got there? And he turns to me and he goes, it's good. And I'm like, oh. So I get a piece of chocolate cake, and I take a bite, and I turn to the kid and I go, it's good. And so we both laugh together, and we're eating the chocolate cake and stuff, and I look at the kid again, and I realize it's Sean Lennon. And I go, hey. I go, you're a Libra. I go, I'm a Libra too. I go, we're the nicest people in the zodiac. He goes, yeah, my dad's a Libra too. And I go, yeah, I know. And he goes, well, that's pretty cool. And he goes, better have another piece. So we each had another piece of cake. And then a bunch of other little kids came up, and they sort of absorbed him like zombies, and they took him away. He was gone. I eat my chocolate cake, and I go over, and you see on the craft table, there are these, you remember the little 7-ounce bottles of beer called ponies? Yeah, well, there's a whole lot of them there. And I immediately take one and take another one, and I put them in my jacket pocket. And I'm like, well, those are for later. This is good. And I take one, open it up, glug, 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 the whole thing in one shot. It's easy as pie. It's only 7 ounces. Let's have another one. Glug, 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 glug. It's fantastic. And so you're milling around, and there's interesting posters on the wall, and then there's a lady with a wheelchair, and I'm somehow in her way. So I sort of back up, and I'm somehow still in her way. And I back up, and I keep on moving, and I'm trying to get out of the way, and wherever I go, I'm right in her way because she wanted to go over here. And so I back up, and then there's an archway, and I back into that, and now I'm now in another room as she has free, and I turn around. I'm in Yoko Ono's dressing room. And she's sitting there, and there's sort of a little line of people, and she's sort of holding court, and I'm like, I'm getting in line. and eventually the people they have their little meeting with the royalty there, and eventually I'm in line, and I come up and I say something like, it was cosmic. It's such an honor to be meeting you. And she says, oh, well, that's all right. It's wonderful to meet you. I love you. And I said, I love you. She said, I love you. And she said, what's your name? I said, my name is Harry. And she picked up her pen. She had a pen right there. And she wrote on my lapel, on my backstage pass, she scribbled something on there. And I'm like, oh. And she was smoking more cigarettes. Remember more? Dark brown cigarettes. They were 120 millimeters long. They were serious cigarettes. Anyhow, she's smoking Moors. I say, once again, it's an honor to meet you. And I shake her hands. I go, may I kiss your hand? She says, yes. And she gave me her hand. And I kissed the hand of Yoko Ono. And I like, well, I sort of bow and sort of back out, you know what I mean? And I hope I'm not going to bump into the lady with the wheelchair. And I get back into the lobby, into the backstage room there, and there's not as many people milling around. And I'm like, well, I just kissed Yoko Ono. So I go back over to the table there, and there's the ponies of beer, and I go, okay, and I put one in my pants pocket, and my other one in my pants pocket, and one on the inside pocket, and the inside pocket. So with the two I already got in my pockets, I got a free 6-pack of ponies, and then I take another one and drink the whole thing, put it down, and I walk out of the theater. I cut through the that doorway that the guy slammed. There's nobody in the theater anymore. It's just empty, and I can't see Cornlad on stage anywhere. So I just walk on up out, and you walk on to the Beacon Theater is on Broadway by like 74th, and so I walk up to the corner and around the block, and I come around to the back of the theater, and the big loading doors are wide open, and there's people coming and going, and I go up and I see Cornlad, and he's moving a great big thing. And he comes up and he goes, "What's going on?" I said, "I just saw her." And he's like, "Fantastic." And he goes, "Well, I'm real busy." And I pull out a beer and I take the lid off and I drink the whole thing in one gulp. And I give him a resounding belch, "Rark." And I put the bottle back in my pocket. And I say, "Well, thank you for everything." And he says, "I'm busy." And he was gone. So I go, "All right." And I walk back around to Broadway and I start walking home and I reach into my pocket and I'm drinking another free beer. And it's a beautiful world sometimes.